This is a video I've been wanting to record for a while. I've been using Missinglettr for quite some time. I've been using it for sharing business, social media posts, all kinds of things like that every time I do a blog post. I've used a lot of social media platforms to send out posts regularly and kind of automate some of the process, so I'm not having to make live posts every time I post to like Twitter or LinkedIn or anything like that. But a lot of automation software is not the best. There's some that are pretty good for sharing, just loading up a queue and having stuff drip out over that queue, but not so much for creating content, creating tweets for your content or tweets and LinkedIn posts on a scheduled basis. So Missinglettr is really good because when I create a blog post, instead of posting to social media that I posted a blog post once and done, that's it, it's forgotten, I can create a social campaign that shares out over the next year. And that's what Missinglettr does really well. It can, I can create an entire campaign for a blog post. I can share out social media posts for a year. So when you set up Missinglettr, you set it up with a feed to your blog post, and then you also configure all the stuff in it. So I'm going to kind of show what it does first. Before I get into how it all works and everything, I just wanted to show you this is what a campaign looks like from the back end. So it shows you the scheduled posts. So this is what I'm talking about when it drips out this content over time. Unlike other social media tools, though, it helps you walk through creating individual unique content for each of these days. So on day one, there's a unique post that will go to Twitter and LinkedIn. Those two shared, and it tells you the time that those shared out, how many clicks it got. Day 3, also it shared out campaigns. And then there's unique pieces of content for each day all the way up to a year from now. So if you go to the view on calendar view, you can see all the unique content that it shared. This sent a unique piece of content, and you can see there's more unique stuff that's going to share over here. This is actually just this blog post, but you can see each piece is different. There's a different image, different text, different everything. It's formed each one is an actual unique piece of content instead of just sharing the same thing out in a queue or just one time. So let's get into walking through how Missinglettr works. So when you create a blog post, once you've connected it to your Missinglettr workspace, and you make a post, it brings it in as a draft. Every time you make a blog post, Missinglettr monitors your RSS feed and brings that post in as a draft. And then you can review the campaign that it's created, add, personalize it, configure it the way you want it. And then Missinglettr will automatically drip out the content for a year. You can do it in different cycles. I'll go through that. So you can have like a 12-year cycle, a 6-month, or just like a burst for 2 months. So I'm going to go to, I just posted this blog post, and I'm going to review the campaign. And so here's what I'm talking about. You can select a 12-month evergreen. So this post is relevant for pretty much eternity. So you can do 12 months, 6 month, you can do a 2-month blast. So for something that's only, has a limited time span of how long the content is useful. Like say it's a blog post about a conference, then you're not going to want to post about it 6 months after the conference. So you can do a blast for 2 weeks, all these different time frames. I typically do 12-month evergreen unless the post is time bound. And then, of course, I just keep the first published date as is. You can start the campaign at a later date. And then the next thing you do is choose your hashtags. That's what this section over here is. This is where you're choosing the content and media. So the hashtags that your posts use, the images, and also the quotes. It'll pull in quotes from your blog post, and I'll show you that in a second. So first of all, hashtags. It's going to pull in hashtags that it thinks you might want to use based on the content. Of course, you don't want to use this many hashtags. That's way too many. So I'm going to remove some of these. All right, so you can see I removed most of the hashtags. 1 to 3 is a good number. 2 is perfect for this one. So that's good. Now I just go to select images. This pulls in images from the blog post. So this is the featured image for that post. And then this is inside the post itself. The more pictures you have in there, the better. But Missinglettr is really awesome because it'll actually generate new, unique, helpful images for you. It'll actually pull quotes in from your blog post, from the quotes that we're about to go through, and create cool images for you. So let's go in and select quotes. It's already selected 14 quotes for me based on content from my blog post. I don't typically like to use them as is, or even all of them. I like to read through and make sure the quote is good. So I do unselect quotes, and then I scroll up, and then I go ahead and add them one by one, like the title of the blog post. Cool. And then this one I don't want to use. So this is a good quote right here. So I'll go ahead and add this one. And then also, if you want to change the quote, say the quote doesn't really fit in context to being shared as an individual item, you can click on it and you can remove anything or change it. There I just took away a word and added the same word because I didn't really want to change it. Once you change it, click off of it. Bold means it's selected. And then just go down the list and modify them as you see fit that, fits for social sharing. And then we'll come back when I'm done. Okay, so you can see this quote, it pulled in up to this period, but I wanted to add a little bit more context and add it. So I wrote this little bit to add on to that. And then also one more thing on quotes. It wants you to select enough quotes so it can have a unique quote for each piece of content it creates. So you'll notice there's a red check here, and then that'll turn to green once you have enough quotes. You don't have to have it green. You can have repeat content, and that's perfectly fine. I do that quite often. But if you can have that a green check, then go ahead and do it if it's useful. Okay, so I selected 10 quotes. I got a green check, that's good enough. And then I've already connected my social profiles, and I'll go ahead and show you how to do that kind of stuff later. We'll get into the technical setup of Missinglettr. So once I get that, I build a campaign. And this is going to do all kinds of automated stuff for me. And you can even republish your post to Medium, which I already have that connected. And you can even have Missinglettr send you a reminder in 6 months to go back over a blog post and make some updates, because that's always good practice to, make sure there's nothing that needs to be added to a post, or maybe change a few things, or maybe completely revamp the post, and then you can bump it up in your dates and post it as a new one. So once you get to this point, you can select each one, whether you want to share it to all profiles or just one. If you want to remove it, you can click the trash can. I don't know why you would want to do that. But then it'll create the text for the social share with a link to the post, your hashtags, and this image it actually created for me. So it's pretty cool that it'll actually create content for me. If you want to change any of these, which I definitely do, and I recommend you customize each one too. So therefore, while it's automated, they're each unique pieces of content that you created. So it's not like you're sharing some automated generic piece of garbage that doesn't mean anything to you. These are all custom crafted by you that are going to share out over the next 12 months. So in order to edit this, I just click these little dots here, and you can see I can change the quote. Maybe I don't like any of these. Maybe I can just, for this first one, I can create my own. Okay, so I created my own quote for this one, and you can use the image. So you can change the type of image it uses for each one too. Like you can use a quote bubble image, which is what I have here. You can use one of the custom images that you have, or you can use no thumbnail or no image at all. I do want to use an image, but I want to change the quote in the image. So this little section right here lets me cycle through those quotes that I chose. These are all quite large for this, so I'm going to try to I'm going to actually stick with the name of the book that I reviewed for this one. So there we go. That one looks good. I can also change the theme of the quote bubble. I've set these up also. They're different themes that creates a different image for you. I'm going to go back to the one that I had, which I liked. So that's the first day. That's going to share on the first day this campaign starts. And then I use these arrows to cycle through the next day. The next social share that's going to go out is on day 3. So 3 days after I post this one, it's going to post another one here. And you can see this one uses a custom image. The quote looks good. Everything in this one looks perfect. I like the way it looks. So I'm going to go on to day 7. And then again, there's an image that it pulled from the blog. That looks good. Day 14, and you see it still has the link, same link, hashtags. Looks good. So I'm going to stick with that. All these look really good. Day 30, day 90, day 180. You can see it's kind of repeating some of these quotes, but let's change it. And day 270, so they get more sparse as you go from the initial publishing date, which makes sense because you're going to have newer posts that go out in the meantime. And that's it. This is day 365. It's going to post 1 year after I started this campaign. And you see I go back to day 0, but everything looks good. I can select an optional start date. I don't want to do that. I can set an optional stop date. I don't want to do that either, but for time-bound posts, you might. If you are working with somebody else on your social shares, then you might have to get it reviewed. You can add a reviewer to, make sure this is looking good and what they want. Whoever has to review your posts. And then, of course, they want you to share all your unique content that you own, not somebody else's. So this is all mine. I created this blog post and all the content in it, except for the images, but I'm not claiming those are mine. So I just launched the campaign, and boom, there, it completes everything. Optimizes it, creates tracking URLs, 9 unique content posts, and it creates a draft post on Medium for me, so I can go into Medium. It'll send me an email and say, your post is ready. And in fact, when you post a new blog post, it'll actually send an email to you that says your campaigns are ready. So then you can just click on the link and boom, you're in here on the campaign ready to go to create a campaign and then share it out. So we're going to go back to the dashboard. And you can see now that post moved over to the active section. And when it started, it'll tell you the clicks of each one, that it was shared to Medium, and you can download all the assets that Missinglettr created for this blog post, which is pretty cool. So those special posts, all the special, quote bubble images, all that stuff, you then can use that elsewhere. It's really yours. You can also, once a campaign is running, you can pause and modify it. You can view all the scheduled content. You can view an overall calendar of it too. We'll get to that. You can reschedule a campaign. You republish it to Medium and then review the original source. That's just going to bring you to the original blog post. There it is. Boom. But I want to show you, here we'll view scheduled content. So here you can see when the stuff is scheduled. There's one today, And then we go 1 week ahead. There's one on the 15th, one on the 19th, and so on and so on. You can go to a content calendar for everything, though. This is for this specific post. We're going to go to the general calendar tab, and it's going to show me everything that I have scheduled. So you can see that's already sent. This one's going to go out later today. And then there's one tomorrow. And these things, they keep piling up and adding up, and they have little spots that they'll post in. If your spot for the day is already filled up, then it'll move to the next day. It's not going to overwrite places. You can only have so many shares a day, and you get to decide that, but there's only so many available that you've set up. And then you can also see the analytics of each post, so you can see this blog I just started back up. So I've been kind of dormant on it, nothing posted, but there you can see I've got 5 clicks, and it'll give me total clicks by social profile. I don't know, it tells you where the stuff comes from, where these clicks are coming from, which post is doing the best, where the clicks are coming from, like what country. Wow, France is doing really good. What browser, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, operating system, Windows, Mac OS. And also you can see when the best time of day that people are clicking. Looks like for me, most people are up pretty late. But again, since it's France and this is in my time zone, that's probably in the morning time for them. So, depending on where your audience is, that'll tell you varying degrees of valuable information. And then you can filter all these analytics. So you can filter them by date. You can look at them by social media profile, all kinds of good data here. Very, very helpful. The Curate tab, we'll get to that a little later. Let's go through the settings first. I just want to run through. Here's where you can set up some default hashtags. I don't have them set up for this one, but you can have Missinglettr pull in the same hashtags every time for every post that it loads. That doesn't mean you have to use those hashtags, but it's going to pull them in addition to all the ones that it finds. So that's helpful to do if you're posting on the same topic. And you can customize how, what actually happens when it generates a campaign. And then you can also use your own URL shortener. I do not recommend using another one. The Missinglettr one is by far the best because that's how they tie in the analytics, and that's how you get that information. You can even create your own UTM campaign variables. So if you want to see it in your Google Analytics where website visitors are coming from, that's helpful to customize that. Okay, so that's in the campaign section of settings. Social profiles, this is where you can connect different social media profiles to it. So I have my personal LinkedIn page, and I have my Twitter account. You can add as many social profiles as you're paying for. And then, of course, I have my Medium account connected, so I can add a social profile. You can add Facebook page, a Facebook group, Twitter, LinkedIn page, or LinkedIn profile. Those are the only things you can share to. You cannot share to you can't do automated stuff to Facebook, your Facebook personal profile, not anymore. You used to be able to, but not anymore. Just pages and groups. Twitter, of course, you can connect to, and LinkedIn, you can still do it to your profile. And then you can also do it to a business page. So as you can see, this is extremely helpful for businesses because it can just automate. You can create all these campaigns in one go, publish the campaign, and then it's done. For the next year, you have social shares happening, and that's very, very helpful. It saves a ton of your time. It makes it really easy to promote your content. And also, we'll get to a little later, it makes it really easy to promote other people's content and share pretty cool stuff. So we'll get to that in a minute though. Let's go into the dates and times. This you can see it's set to my time zone, and you can choose the days of the weeks you want to publish a post. So say you don't want Missinglettr to send out posts on Saturday and Sunday. Actually, I probably do. I don't know why I didn't choose that. For a business, you might not want it to. Just Monday through Friday, because generally for a business, you only want to promote stuff during the week. What day does each week begin on? Monday. You can even add blacklist dates. So say you don't want to send out any social shares on Christmas, you can do that. I can say December 25th. December 25th, and that's a blackout date. And then here you can see is where I can send, post those, I can select what time social shares go out. So for Twitter, 7:55, 12:22, and 16:47, whatever time that is. I'm not real good with the 24-hour clock, but these are real helpful because then you can just let it go and it'll add content to those different compartments or time frames. And you can adjust these too. You can select different times for each one, or even remove some of them, or you can add more. Either way is fine. And you can do this based off of the best times from your analytics. You can look at those and say, oh, 10 o'clock's the best time to share content. So then you can choose that. And then, of course, they're separate for Twitter and LinkedIn. And if you're sharing to Facebook, there will be a third one or fourth or fifth or whatever. So scheduled templates, you can change how it creates content, how it creates these campaigns. So for 12-month evergreen, you can change that to 270 days, whatever you want to do. You can even quickly have more posts at the start, more to the end. This is kind of a balance, but a little bit more distributed towards the front end of the posts. You can even add more, so you can post more than 9. And then you get to select the days. Do you want it on day 0, 1, 2, 3, or day 0, 4, 10? You get to customize all this stuff for each type of campaign. So, and you can even add your own schedule. So this is extremely helpful if you have your own way of doing social media. So content library is next, and that's going to be how it configures posts. So how it takes the content that you put in and creates content with it. So it'll, this one, well, here, we'll add a template and I'll kind of show you. You can write whatever. You can insert a quote, insert a title, insert a link, and it'll pull this information from your blog posts. And then you can save it, and it'll create unique content in the way that you want to create it. Branding is for the images. It's going to create images based off of the branding that you choose. So you can choose the background image. You can choose the way it looks. You can choose your picture if you want to show a picture or not. Your name, all kinds of things. So you can go in and these are default themes, but then I can go in and customize them. So I customize the background, speech bubble, author, all this stuff. The font weight. You can make this all fit your brand, which is really cool. So you can see I have a whole bunch of different images that it'll create based on my content. So that makes it real easy. And then they even have available themes and your theme library. So you can add more from themes that they've created for you. You can blacklist phrases. I don't really use that too much because I'm creating all this content. So I'm not sure why I would want to blacklist anything of my own. And then, of course, you can change the workspace details. So this is my name, your workspace URL slug. You can see it's up here. And then there's a link to my feed, the RSS feed where it's monitoring. So every time I post something, boom, there it is. Okay, and now The last up, that's all for the settings. So the last thing, we went through campaign, calendar, analytics, and settings, but there's this tab called Curate. This is where you can share other people's content and browse stuff that, people have chosen to put their content into the Curate tab, where you can then share, add that to your queue. And you actually get more spaces to share your content in Curate the more you share of other people's. Of course, you can purchase spots in Curate, but you can also earn it by sharing other people's content. So you can see one of my pieces have been shared. So I'm actually going to come to promote. That's stuff of mine that I've added. So what's the most important part of working from home? 12 people have scheduled that. They've added that to their Curate schedule, and it's been shared twice. I can create a new post. So I can add external content or a blog from my previous campaign. Boom. There's that one I just did. So I can select that, and I can customize how this, it's creating it first. It creates it based off of the content that you have. And then, these are all the shares that I've had of that. So then I can select which one goes into Curate. And then other people will see that and decide if they want to add it to their social, if they want to add it to their queues or not to share your content. Now, sharing other people's content, you can go to Browse. On the dashboard, it shows some recommendations based on your categories that you've selected. Categories, tags and topics, countries, things like that. It'll make recommendations, or you can go to Browse and you can just, look at the different topics of stuff that you can share. So of course you want to look at something before you share it, so you can do that. You can click on the link and boom, there's somebody else's blog post. You can read through it. Okay, well, that's a pretty cool blog post. So then you can share. You can add it to your queue. So maybe this article kind of looks interesting to me. The obvious benefits of overcoming procrastination. That's hard to do. So I got to this in the Browse tab. I just went to Education, Adult Education, and then I can click the link here to view the actual post. And there I can read through it. Okay, looks like something I might share. Okay, so I close that, come back to the post where it is. If it's something really bad that you wouldn't share and you don't think you'd ever share something from that source, you can also remove the suggestion from your list. Curate will kind of learn, based on that information. And then you can also preview the post. This is what they've set up. This is what it would look like on Facebook. This is what it would look like on Twitter. So pretty much the same. This is what it would look like on LinkedIn. Also the same. So we can go close, and okay, I previewed it. I don't want to block the publisher. I don't want to report it. I read it. Sounds good. So I'm going to add that to my Curate. There we go. Yeah, I'll share it to my stuff, and I can edit it too. I can edit the post and, change anything I want here. Well, you should be able to edit it, but I don't know, you can't. So you just schedule it, and then that's going to add it to your shared content. Okay, I just selected a different one. The one that I selected for some reason was not allowing me to edit. I think when you share stuff on here, you can actually choose if people are allowed to edit the social shares or not. So I chose a different one, so you can, I don't want all this stuff on there from them. So, okay, looks good. Now I can schedule content, and it'll go into my queue. Let's schedule it. I don't know. I didn't really review that, but just for the sake of showing how it works, we'll do that. So, once you're back at the dashboard for Curate, you can see there's that post I added, and I can even edit it. I can do different things like that. This is the scheduled content that are other people's that we'll share out. And you can see you can buy credits for Curate or just stick to trying to earn them. So I can share 40 pieces of my content per month. If I share 5, then I get a slot to share 1 piece of my content. So for every 5 you share, you get to share 1 of yours. And then you also get a Curate quality score, so it bases it off of various things. Here you can see it represents how well your content is being accepted by the community. So is it being reported? Are people skipping over it because it's a bunch of garbage? Well, you're going to see that. I'm going to remove that post. I don't really want to share it. It was adding it to my queue. But you can also change your settings in Curate. So you can choose to get emails with suggestions. You can choose how if there's a delay for auto scheduling. So when you schedule something, it waits 3 days to share it out. You can also do your profile. So this is how it's going to build things that it's going to find stuff that's relevant to you. And also when you share content, it's going to automatically have some of these categories in there. So other people in those categories will see them. So English speakers from a specific country, if that's relevant, and then tags and topics and categories. And you'll see if I share my content, create a new post, previous campaign from the most recent one, check out my newest blog post. So there we go. There's that post. And then, okay, here's the potential audience. Categories, there it is. There's content settings, so the title of it, the link, tags and topics, it pulled from my previous, the ones that I had selected in my settings. I can add more though. You can always search and add more. There's a whole bunch of categories. You can select your own tags and topics, language, countries, all that. When you're done, you go to publish. I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to delete that draft even. But you can see there it is. I shared something out and it's been scheduled and shared. And this is what other people see. They see that and then they think, well, do I want to share it or do I not? Up to them. They can add that to their queue. So as you can see, Missinglettr is extremely powerful for scheduling social media campaigns and having it all automated, but at the same time not taking up all your time, because social media can eat up so much time. Missinglettr makes it so you can create good content while not wasting a ton of your time. So definitely one of my top #1 absolute favorite social media applications out there on the internet right now. It's the most unique, the most useful. There's nothing I've seen like it. I use things like Social Bee, Promo Republic, Buffer. I've used all those, used all kinds of social media tools, but this one is by far the absolute best for promoting your content and other people's content. So check out the description in this video, or if you're watching this on the blog post, you can find a link to Missinglettr. Also, I try to put some promotions in there that give you a discount for getting it. But it's definitely my favorite. Something that's worth its weight in gold. If it had a weight, of course it's virtual, so it has no weight, but if it did, it's definitely the most valuable thing I use, and I love it. So this is my Twitter feed. You can see some of these shares on what it looks like inside your feed. So if I click on them, you can see these are shared by Missinglettr, because that's the tool it's connected to, and you can see each piece looks pretty darn unique. I haven't tweeted a whole lot. I haven't tweeted outside of what's coming from Missinglettr too much, but even there, it still creates a relatively unique Twitter feed. I don't have enough content out there right now, so you can see there's some duplicates one after another. They were on separate days though, so I mean, it looks like it's really duplicated in my feed because you're looking at it all in one place, but these are on different days. Actually, these aren't even the same posts. They're just they use the same template. But again, they're shared on different days, so it doesn't really matter that much. And usually you won't have images, that close together. You will see duplicates that have different titles because the templates are, they're the same. But you can create new unique templates too based on what you want. If you have any questions on this video too, just comment in the video on YouTube or wherever you're watching this on the blog post. Up to you. I'll try to answer the best I can, but really you have to get in there and sign up and just check it out. There's a free account available or a trial or something like that, but check it out because it's really awesome. My favorite. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.